Well, the last of the tune-up games are over. Spring training has officially come to an end. And the next time the Tigers play, it will be regular season baseball. We'll talk about all of that and more all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Wednesday, March 26th, 2025. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Welcome in. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Spring training is officially over. And you know, the first day of spring training is always such a great day. And it's like, you know what? You know, we're back. We're playing baseball again. But spring training has a little bit of a shelf life. And it's not as long as spring training is, right? And you hit a point about halfway through where you're like, all right, like we get the point. Let's hit the ground running here. And you got to be patient. And it's a great test of patience. And I say that half tongue in cheek. Obviously, it's still baseball. It's still awesome. And I think for as much as I love the first day of spring training, I may love the last day of spring training even more. Because I know that we're just 48 hours away from Detroit Tigers baseball that actually matters and means something and is real. And so that's awesome. Tigers played 2 games. We didn't talk about the first game against San Francisco on Monday night. We didn't talk about that on yesterday's show because there was a lot of other pressing things to talk about off the field. So we'll kind of just recap the end of spring training, put a bow on it, what we learned, what we still have to find out as we head into opening day, etc. And then tomorrow we'll preview a season. All right, how about that? The Tigers dropped the last 2 games of spring training in San Francisco to the Giants. They end with a record of 12-15 in the spring. I cannot tell you how little record in spring training means to me. It is absolutely nothing. So if you do care, that is what the Tigers' record was. However, Jackson Jobe, Casey Mize, and Kenta Maeda all pitched on Tuesday's game, on the final game. We'll start with Jobe because that's going to be kind of what everybody talks about. I really don't. We'll talk about it. I'm jumping the gun here. I was going to go straight to Mize. I don't want Mize's performance to get lost, though. He was absolutely phenomenal. But one at a time. Okay, we're going to slow down, take a deep breath, not let the excitement or the ADHD get to me here. 4 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts for Jackson Jobe. He gives up 1 home run. That's where both of the runs against him came from. And his spring training ERA ends at a 3.86 for those who are big on spring training numbers. Not really too much me, as I've said a lot. He had 9 swing and misses, 9 whiffs in just 4 innings pitched in this one, which is absolutely great to see. One of the big things that the fan base has been kind of antsy about and that we have certainly pointed out on this show a lot over, especially his last few outings, but really all spring, is that he hasn't been getting a lot of swings and misses in spring training, and whether that was an issue and what the worry level is, whatever. This, I think, really puts that to bed. And not that he's going to go out there and be like a Cy Young candidate as a rookie, and not that he's going to go out there and be this guy that is able to, strike out 12 every single outing in his first full major league season. Like, we have to remember this is a rookie. We have to remember that throughout the season. He will go through hot stretches and cold stretches, but the stuff will play. And the worry of like, oh, is his stuff not going to be able to generate swings and misses at the major league level? I am hoping that this helps kind of reiterate and reassure the fan base that that is not going to happen and that he is far too talented for that to be a thing and for that to occur. So nice to see there. I think the two pitches especially were the changeup I thought was devastating in the best possible connotation in this outing. That was maybe the best changeup I've seen from him wearing a Tigers uniform. We've seen him throw that devilish changeup in the minor leagues at times, but this is the first time it really translated super well to the major league level. Was getting a lot of swing and miss on it. Wasn't afraid to throw righty. And then the cutter, honestly. And I think the thing that's so unique and, well, maybe not unique, but the thing that I appreciate so much about his cutter, and the thing that I think makes it very effective, that it is also another change of pace pitch, right? Like a lot of times you see cutters that are very similar in velocity to sliders, or on the other end of the spectrum, like very similar in velocity to fastballs. And his slider, I almost said changeup, his cutter rather, goodness gravy. One of the things that I think does make it so effective is the fact that it is not comfortably slower than his fastball, but also has far more zip to it than the slider. And so I think that gives kind of hitters another thing to watch out for. I thought he was great. And I think that this is a perfect kind of last tune-up start before his first major league start, which is going to come here next week. So super fun. Casey Mize also pitched 3 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts in just 3 innings. His spring ERA ends at 1.89. He looked incredible. And the 2 runs, I guess we'll start with the bad here. I thought he looked phenomenal. And like the only issue I had was that inning, obviously, where he gave up the runs. It was the end of that inning. He just couldn't finish anyone off. Like he just couldn't get out of that inning, was just barely missing his spots. And it led to, the double into the gap and a walk. And it unraveled a little bit. But throughout the entire outing, I thought the stuff was fantastic. And the slider, I feel like I've said this every 5 days for most of spring training, but like I genuinely think this is now the new best that I've ever seen his slider look. That was textbook. That was surgical, if you will. Got a ton of called strikes, got a ton of swing and miss on it. I really do think that was the best his slider has ever looked. I'm excited to see this version of Casey Mize in the regular season. The slider, again, but the splitter looked really good. The fastball continues to go up in velo. I thought he was great. 7 strikeouts in 3 innings is diabolical. That is just filthy. So good to see there. Obviously caps off a fantastic spring training for him. And if it wasn't for the last, 3 hitters of that inning, his final line looks a little bit different. Now you can't play that game. Obviously all batters count and matter to results, but for spring ball, really just looking at stuff, it was incredible yet again. And then Kenta Maeda goes 1 inning of perfect baseball with 2 strikeouts. His spring training ERA ends at 4.91. I mean, obviously he looked good, right? Perfect inning, 2 strikeouts. Not going to get too many complaints there. The Giants have made some substitutions by that point as well. So wasn't necessarily facing the A lineup, but really just as a whole, I mean, the velocity has stayed where it has been most of the spring, which I think is a great sign. And on top of that, I think that the splitter he was offering in this game, he threw the splitter more than any other pitch in this outing. I think that the splitter he threw in this outing was particularly sharp and located very well. That was something last year. Like his splitter has always had a ton of drop and has always been a plus pitch. But last season, one of the reasons why he struggled is because he had no clue where it was going. Like every time he threw it, it was just a guessing game. So I thought that the command was pretty solid in this outing as well. Man, like we're really talking. This is it. Like we're really talking about these performances as though they matter, and like they don't in the literal sense of like regular season baseball, but Like this is the last we're seeing of some guys that are fringe roster spots or that we're wondering how they're going to look in the regular season, right? Like this is it, man. We're geared and ready to go. Let's keep talking about some pitching performances. Want to go back to 2 games ago and talk about some of the relievers that pitched in that game. Then we'll talk about all the offense we've seen over the last 2 games, which is not like a ton, but we'll talk about it and more right after this. Got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Wonderful Pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is the highest protein nut available. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety, as I tell you all the time. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days, whether I'm at my desk or on a road trip or just need a quick protein boost. They are always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite as well. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2 of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, as always. Appreciate y'all for making us your first listen every single day. Shots to everydayers that do tune in every day. We, of course, will be back tomorrow previewing the 2025 Detroit Tigers. Ain't that beautiful? Golly. We made it through another long winter, and baseball is just around the corner. Let's talk about the relievers that pitched, not in the last game of spring training, because that was just those 3. Very intentional that it was just those 3, by the way, just to get their schedules in sync with, how much time off they're going to get in between outings in the rotation in the regular season. And then, Maeda, not the rotation part of that, but still same premise. The relievers that pitched in the second to last game of spring training, we had Brennan Hanafy, 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 strikeout. He is just evil against, why did I say evil? Like evil. He is just evil against right-handed hitters. And his ERA in spring training, 0. 0.00 is his spring training ERA. Look, he might not make the team out of camp, and that is a testament to how deep and talented this organization is on the mound these days, right? This organization has come so far over the last few years in that department, and I think that he is one of many examples of that over the last few years. I am going to be very sad if he does not make the opening day roster, but I also get it. And I know that the second that any reliever goes down, he is almost certainly going to be the first call if he doesn't make the rotation, if he doesn't make the bullpen rather, out of camp. I think he has looked fantastic. I think he's proven to be one of the better relievers on this team. And I really hope that he is able to pitch a lot of innings for the Tigers this season. Andrew Chafin goes 1 inning, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts. The velocity just still isn't there, man. And that's his last outing. That's his last outing before opening day. So the Tigers have a decision to make on whether he is just going to be given a roster spot because of what they expect him to be when he is at 100% and when his arm is ready to go. But it's not like he's still like it's not like he's like half a mile an hour away from being from his velocity from a year ago. It's like 3. He's literally still like 2 to 3 miles an hour slower velo wise than he was last season. And that is something that they are going to have to take into account here. So we'll see what happens. I think that also just when it comes to timing, the bullpen that was used in game 1, you're going to kind of empty the clip, use a bunch of relievers, Brebbia, Canely pitched in that game. Like everybody else that's going to make the team out of the bullpen, almost everybody pitched in that game so that they could also then have a few days off but be 100% ready for opening day. And then you had the three longer guys in Tuesday's game. As far as the offense goes, Riley Green hit a ball about 950,000 feet to right field. That is legitimately one of the furthest balls I've ever seen him hit. He absolutely destroyed that baseball, and it was not a good pitch. Like he should have hit a homer, but he was all over it. Great to see. His spring numbers fantastic as we expect. I really think this could be a huge year for Riley, and we'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. But I'm very, very, very excited for 2025 Riley Green. And then immediately after Riley Green went yard on Monday night, Spencer Torkelson smoked a home run, back-to-back homers for Riley Green and Torque in that moment. Torkelson's went about 400 feet and was a line drive, a laser off the bat. He ends spring training with a 340 batting average and an OPS of 1,069. Just incredible. Nice. It is. We're going to talk about the roster here in a second and the final roster. It has not been announced at the time of this recording. I'd imagine it'll come out at some point on Wednesday. It is very hard to justify him not being on the opening day roster. Very difficult. I'll put it that way. I think the adjustments he's made have been great. And I thought that at-bat, aside from just the fact that it resulted in a home run, that AB was fantastic. He was all over everything. He was working the count, and I thought it was very professional. I was really, really impressed. Manuel Margot made his Tigers spring debut on Monday night, and I think it's safe to say it didn't go very well defensively. He looked kind of lost out there and was playing right field on top of that. So, like, what does this mean? What is happening? Margot gets signed. He plays right field immediately. He doesn't look very good there. Javi plays center on Tuesday. Kreidler plays a little bit of center in both games. Had some decent at-bats, too, whether we want to admit it or not. I have so many questions right now. Like, can Margot even still play center? Like, is that even the plan? And I'm not trying to be super overreactionary to, 2 innings of spring training baseball on Monday. But, like, the numbers have gone down defensively, and he has been more of a corner outfielder lately. So do Margot and Kreidler both make the opening day roster? I hope that is not the case. That would frustrate me. But, like, is that what's about to happen? Does the Javi and center field thing actually mean anything? Or is that just like, oh, we're going to see if it works? Or is that like actually like, hey, no, like this dude's going to play some center field? Meanwhile, the Angels cut Mickey Moniak, who is a plus defender in center field, is a lefty. This past year, in 2024, he was brutal. He was not very good really at anything, except, again, being a slightly plus defender in center. Offensively, didn't really do much of anything. In 2023, he crushed right-handed pitching and hit a lot better in the second half last season. If you truly want a platoon, I mean, you could do Margot and Moniak, which if you were to tell somebody from 2018 that those guys were platooning your center field, they'd have a heart attack because of how incredibly impossible that sounded. Moniak, former 1-1 pick, Margot, former top 50 prospect in all of baseball. But in 2025, it's a lot less enticing. The thing that I want to keep reminding people, you're hearing me talk about Mickey Moniak and you're like, oh my goodness, please tell me he's joking. I get it, okay? I will say this. We only have to make this work for like 4 weeks. Okay. The second that Vierling or Winfield Perez return, we're just throwing that out there. You know what I'm saying? So we just have to make it that far. And I wouldn't hate. I would prefer a Margot Moniak platoon in center over Ryan Kreidler every day in center. I would prefer a Moniak Margot platoon than Margot and Kreidler both making the roster. There's also obviously something to be said for let's just get Malloy and Torque both on the team. They had really solid springs and just bite the bullet, have Margot play center field for 4 weeks and limp into Vierling's return that way. I have no clue what we're about to see, but if the end result is Ryan Kreidler being the everyday center fielder when everything else I just listed is on the table and available to you, I will be very disappointed. Okay, let's put a bow on spring training. Okay, we'll do that right after this. Got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Monarch Money. Have you ever checked your bank account and wondered where is everything? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery and stuff like that. Now I save, I spend smarter, and I save way, way more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is also smoother than ever as well. You can track all your shared accounts, personal accounts, whatever, and eliminate all of the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off of your first year. Also got to talk to you all about our friends over at Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site that is made for the skilled trades. Supply House, whether into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers you an industry-leading service. So you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for that extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. So join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off of your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, just a couple more things to touch on here. Justin Henry Malloy hits a home run on Tuesday, ends his spring with a 309 average and an 805 OPS. Thought he looked great all spring. And if he's the odd man out, that sucks. Because I think he's earned it. The one thing I'll say is that I'm rather confident that he will get plenty of at-bats at the major league level this season, even if he doesn't make the opening day roster. I just appreciate the travel schedule, too. I think going out to San Francisco right before you play LA is very, very smart. So now, I mean, really the only question is, what does the final roster look like? Obviously, we talked a little bit about center field earlier. Is it Margot, Malloy, and Torque? And they are just like, you know what? Between Margot and Javi, we can like patchwork 4 weeks of center field I am concerned may happen is Margot, Kreidler, and Torkelson. Malloy would be the odd man out there because, in my head at least, because Margot would be the corner outfielder that they more so want defensively, even though, again, he didn't look very good defensively in Monday's game. I really don't want whatever combination leads to Ryan Kreidler being the everyday center fielder. There's also an external option, and the one thing I have to keep reminding myself is this is not like permanent. This is, and that's something Scott Harris talked about too, was like this is something that we will have to patch together and figure out how to advance for 4 or 5 weeks. We'll see how it looks. The other thing is just that last bullpen spot, I think, is still up for grabs. I think that you're seeing, again, we talked about earlier with Chafin and Hannafy pitching so well. I think that there's something to be said there. Obviously, then you have like Herder could still kind of throw his hat into that ring as well, and a few other guys. So we'll see what happens there. I think that's pretty much it. The only other thing is just like ballpark stuff. So we talked a little bit about the Comerica Park sign going down. They have finished the Tigers sign going down and the Comerica Park sign going up. So I don't know. The Tigers sign is awesome, and I prefer that because it's cool and like the LED lights were cool and everything. I don't think the Comerica Park thing looks like garbage. I don't think it makes makes it look terrible. It's just boo. Like, Tigers is cooler. The one thing that is noteworthy is that the dirt path from pitcher's mound to home plate is gone. For the first time since Comerica Park opened, it is gone. The Tigers and Comerica Park were the last team and the last stadium in all of baseball to still have that. And so that era is officially over. The Tigers said that they talked to other players and coaches and people in the organization around the league and whatnot about it specifically, apparently. And that the feedback they got was to make it a little bit more like the rest of the league, and that makes it a little bit easier to play on and whatnot. I have no clue how true that is. Maybe somebody in the front office was just like, hey, like we need this gone, whatever. But that is the explanation they gave, and it's going to look a little bit weird. I'm not going to lie to you. We're all very used to the path from pitcher's mound to home plate, so that'll take some getting used to. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We, of course, will be back tomorrow previewing the 2025 Detroit Tigers, baby. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch y'all then. Go Tigers.